Hello and welcome as you continue the Banjo Basics course. You are currently in Lesson 1 entitled Getting Ready. You should have already completed the course introduction and the How to Tune the Banjo videos. This video will focus on how to use banjo picks. I will be discussing selecting the picks, forming the picks, and using the picks. It is important to know that traditional bluegrass banjo playing requires a thumb pick and two finger picks. There are many different styles of banjo picks. As a matter of fact, there are so many styles that it gets a little confusing on which ones to purchase. So let me help you by sharing the most important factors to consider when selecting, forming, and using the banjo picks. Let's start by looking at the thumb pick. It is very important pick because the thumb is used to play most of the melody notes which create the tune of the song. Most thumb picks are made from plastic or metal. Of course, you can also buy custom design picks which are mostly for professionals. Those type of picks could be made from tortoise shell or a combination of plastic and metal, and in some cases bone. Personally, I would suggest you select a standard plastic thumb pick. You could use a metal thumb pick, but it creates a slight metallic sound, which I don't care for when listening to the music. Two of the most popular manufacturers of banjo picks are Dunlop and National, but there are many others. Check with your local music store to see some examples. Now let's talk about the finger picks. The finger picks come in either plastic or metal as well. Most bluegrass banjo players use the metal finger picks because they hold up well for picking for all those fill-in notes. The metal picks come in a variety of gauges, which is the measurement for the thickness of the metal. The higher the gauge, the stiffer the pick. Personally, I used 20 gauge for my index finger and 25 gauge for my middle finger. Other thinner gauge picks can work well too, but they can easily get bent out of shape and have to be reformed each time you put them on. In addition, the metal picks also have a variety of coatings, meaning the plating. For example, you can buy picks with plating of cobalt, nickel, stainless steel, etc. You can also buy picks that have holes in them to help keep them on your fingers. Some just use bands without holes. As always, go to your local music store and try them out before you buy them. Next, I want to discuss the third important factor of forming the picks. Let's start with the thumb pick. Most thumb picks come in three standard sizes: small, medium, and large. So you'll have to pick the one that best fits your thumb. When wearing the thumb pick, it needs to be comfortable so as not to cut off your circulation, while at the same time not be too loose to where it could slip off. To prevent it from slipping off, some players will take their pocket knife and scratch some parallel lines about a ½ inch long on the inside of the flat surface. I have personally tried this and it works just fine. If you find that none of the standard sizes seems to fit your thumb, you can still adjust the form of your plastic pick. All you have to do is put it in a cup of steaming hot water for about 20 to 30 seconds. This will make it pliable. Then place it on your thumb until it cools so it will conform to your thumb. Be careful not to use boiling water as it could cause a burn. This method works fine for me, and I've tried it and it really does work. After a lot of use, your thumb pick could weaken and eventually break. If this happens, I suggest you always keep an extra pick hooked on your tension hoop bracket as shown on the image. I have been doing this for years and it works great and will minimize any disruption. Now let's consider how to wear and form the finger picks. The finger picks are placed on the index and middle finger. For best use of these picks, you should slightly bend the pointed end of the pick to form around the end of your finger as shown on the image. This is easier to do on the lower gauge picks because the metal is thinner. If you don't add this slight bend, you will find that the tip of your pick will get hung up on the strings when you are playing. When this happens, it can easily pull the pick right off your finger. It could also break one of your strings, which really puts a complete halt to your playing. Of course, the band of the pick should be wrapped around your finger tight enough so that they don't fall off. You can test this by shaking your hand downward 2 or 3 times. The small holes in the finger pick is there for a purpose. They allow your skin to press against the hole, which keeps the pick on your finger. At the beginning, your fingers may get a little sore, but it soon goes away as you play more and more. As I mentioned before, the picks have to be reformed or tweaked a little each time you play. This is especially true if you are using 18 gauge or less. To minimize the reforming, I suggest not to store them in your pants pocket where they can get deformed. The best way to store them is to place them in a small plastic bottle that you keep in your banjo case. You could use an old prescription bottle as it works just fine. We can now move on to the last important factor, which is using the picks. This factor can actually be better described as a technique that you apply when striking the string. This technique applies to both the thumb pick and the finger pick. Learning this technique is critical to how your banjo will sound. Now that you have selected your picks and formed your picks, let's take a closer look at using the picks. Our remaining focus is directed at studying this technique so you will get the best sound from your banjo. Keep in mind that there are many other factors that impact the sound as well, but they mostly have to do with the setup of the banjo, which is not part of this video. We have discussed many different styles of picks, but it should be noted that you can buy the most expensive pick and still not get clarity in the sound without properly applying this technique. Here is how it works. To optimize the tone and quality and clarity of the sound, you should place the pick at a 90-degree angle to the string. Without a proper angle, the sound of the string will become somewhat muffled and not have the desired clarity and tone. Each person's hand is different, so you will have to position or slightly rotate the pick on your finger to ensure you get the correct striking angle. This can better be explained by studying the image on your screen. The first image shows the correct picking angle. Let's listen to the sound of the bottom D string. Notice the clarity and tone. Now notice the second image, which shows the incorrect picking angle, which is frequently used by inexperienced banjo players. Let's listen to the sound of the same D string using the correct picking angle. This technique seems pretty straightforward, and it is easy for the thumb, but it is really harder than it looks for the index and middle fingers. This is especially true when you are playing up-tempo songs at 120 to 130 beats per minute, so you must focus on getting it right in a very consistent manner. Using the correct striking angle will make so much difference in the sound of your instrument. As I mentioned earlier, it is a technique that requires proper placement of your picks in relationship to the strings. This is something that you need to practice regularly. You should definitely check it each time before you get ready to play with others. In summary, you have learned some important factors about selecting, forming, and using banjo picks. A lot of the selecting and forming of the picks is a matter of personal choice, budget, and comfort. However, using the picks to get the best clarity of sound is a matter of striking the string at the proper 90-degree angle. This is best accomplished by forming, rotating, and positioning your picks to accommodate the unique size and shape of your own hand. It seems that new styles of picks come out frequently, with each manufacturer proclaiming their unique design specifications for having the best pick. Many times you will learn by trial and error on what works best for you. However, for this basic banjo course, I would suggest you go to your local music store and purchase a popular name brand like National or Dunlop. And lastly, don't forget that the vast majority of banjo players use a plastic thumb pick and 2 metal finger picks, which is what I suggest. Your next step forward is to start practicing the striking technique that you have learned today. Good luck, and thank you for your attention.